My name is Spelly. I'm your head mistress witch on Twitch. I've been an animator for 2 years.
How do you find opportunities? Do you email people to see if they are seeking animators, have a public portfolio that people use to find you, or do mutuals help? So I know I've already answered this question, but I'm going to answer it a little bit differently, just a little bit. Mentioned before, absolutely word of mouth. Word of mouth is by far the best way. That's the most opportunities that I have found is word of mouth. And sometimes you don't even know that it's word of mouth. You just have someone come to you and essentially you have to assume that it's word of mouth, unless you ask. You can always ask, but because as I mentioned down here, I rarely get to post when my commissions open. But, however, here's the trade-off. I do have a public portfolio and a card with all of my socials, and I think that is a very useful thing to have, where you have everything in one place for any potential clients or studios who are looking for animators. So while word of mouth is important, it's still important to do all of these other things. So it's important to have a portfolio publicly. It's important to have all your socials in one place. You know what they say, the less clicks someone has to make, the more likely they're going to make the purchase, blah, blah, blah. Having all of these things helps. It helps, especially with clients looking for animators. They can just look it up themselves. They don't have to go through and painstakingly ask you and interrogate you for like all of these answers. They can just look at your card, right? Now, with that being said, a lot of people don't look at your card or your portfolio, and that's going to happen a lot, but the fact that you have it is important. It's more important that you have it, and it's someone else who's slacking and not you. Don't slack. But like I said, word of mouth is by far still the most important and the best way that I have found opportunities. I wish I had opened commissions more, just so in general, the public can see that commissions are open, but I never really get the chance to open commissions, and that's okay too, because I do appreciate people reaching out to me to then ask, questions about commissions and in general, Do you do this full time, and is it self-sustainable to live off in your own experience? I do this full time, but it is not yet sustainable to live off of. If this is something that you want to pursue, freelance animation, you're most likely not going to be able to live off of it. I'm in a very fortunate situation right now where I do make enough to cover bills, but I'm living month to month covering bills. You might consider that sustainability, but on the other side of it, like for example, I do not have to pay rent. Bless my father, right? I do not have to pay rent. And so that is something that a lot of people do have to pay. And so if I did have to pay that, this would not be sustainable at all, right? I'd have to have a part-time, and having a part-time and trying to be an animator at the same time, very, very hard. Not impossible, but very, very hard. Very hard. Honestly, another thing, from what Harry said in chat, another thing that I would say is if you want to get into the freelance community, definitely check out and follow as many people as you can for like people that are doing what you want to do. So for example, someone that I follow is K Animations. They are an amazing animator. They've worked on several anime that I would love to work on, One Piece. but I follow them and I keep up with them, and I think it's important to keep up with the community and in general, like the whole vibe of everything that you're trying to do. Just like, and you never know. Because I've followed some people, and I guess they were like, oh, who is this? They followed me. They followed me back, and I'm like, how do you, what? Because we're not talking, like, I had a studio, an entire animation studio follow me about a year ago, and I was like, and it was an animation studio that I would love to work with, but the fact that they followed me means something. It means that they, in some way, shape, or form, saw my animations, and they liked what they saw, and I'm like, ooh, like, it's really, really cool. Always follow your exactly. Follow them, especially because it supports them. Like if you have people that you aspire to be, supporting them is like the number one number one way to actually like support artists. Word of mouth, again, word of mouth is so important. It's not just about commissions. You can tell your friends about this amazing, artist or animator that you found. You can share their work, retweets, you can just share their links, you can like their stuff, you can comment on their stuff. All of those things are free, and you can support even your favorite animators and artists to do that, just like by doing that stuff. But always like follow them, like, and give them support. Not just like because you want to watch what they're doing, but just in general. When should you consider yourself ready to do freelance animation commissions? I'm going to say right now, I wrote down a couple bullet points that might help getting ready for it, but I just want to say that everyone's journey is going to be different. This is not a do or die. You do not need to do these. You do not need to not do these. I don't know. But this is just what I wrote down from when I first started accepting freelance commissions. I wish I had done some of these things. I did do some of them. I wish I'd done some more. That's all. So, learn and practice fundamentals. I wish I would have learned and practiced a little bit more of the fundamentals, especially with the fact that I wanted to sketch more things out, you know, like sketching out animations without needing to fully complete them. I wish I would have done that a little bit more. So learning and practicing your fundamentals. Learning is definitely important. Like, if you've never done animation before and you don't know the animation fundamentals, that is probably very important, which I did do before I did freelance at least, but I didn't really get to practice them as much as I wanted to, so practicing them does help as well. Gaining some sort of reputation. I mentioned it so many times already. Word of mouth is super duper important. So having that reputation somewhere in the community, especially a good one, hopefully, especially a good reputation, that is important. For people to know that you even do animations, because people might not know. That's basically what it comes down to. Learning how to market and social media. Now, this is something I did not do, and this is also something that I am still currently slacking on. But I promise you, it will help if you do learn how to. You might not like social media. A lot of people don't. And, you know, that's also fine. But if you don't gain that reputation somewhere, then your next best is going to be learning how to market social media. Like, if you don't get that word of mouth, you're going to want to be able to promote yourself and market yourself. So learning how to do that definitely would not help. Like, it's going to help you in the long run. It just might not be the world's most favorite thing, right? I'm still very slacking on marketing and social media, as you guys can tell. But in the very least, I made it work out somehow by gaining that reputation. A little bit. But yes, learning how to market social media is super important in general. And last but not least, do not jump ship and leave a job ASAP. Especially, or unless, okay, I'll have to explain a little bit with this, right? Animation's not very sustainable. Even people who do make it in the world of animation, they still wind up having to find other things to do, whether that's other animation side projects or just another job in general. You see it all the time on social media. Someone will say, I'm an animator. I worked on like Disney animations and all this amazing stuff, but yet they still are asking about commissions and other jobs and other things because they just don't make enough, right? If you are in a fortunate situation such as myself, then this is entirely up to your discretion, right? I would not recommend leaving your job, but at the same time, it is what I did. So I would be an absolute hypocrite. I am a hypocrite with this one. I had worked many jobs. I saved up enough money to be able to do freelance animation for an entire year, even if I don't make any money from it. I did that. If you can do that, then maybe yeah, leave your job. Because I will tell you also, animation it's a full-time job. It takes so long. And unless you have months to work on a single animation because you're working another job on top of that, you know, again, it is entirely up to you. I'm just letting you guys know exactly what I went through with this stuff. It's very hard to have a job and to animate at the same time. It's very hard to have a job and to just be a freelance of any kind, like any artist freelance. My goodness, like, because it's working multiple jobs essentially. But I would not recommend leaving your job ASAP. I say ASAP because, again, freelance is going to take a lot of time. And when you have the opportunity to, maybe consider it. But I'm probably not, again, I'm a very fortunate person. I have a very fortunate situation. You know, if I were to do full disclosure, and I don't entirely mind, my rent each month is a little over $1,000 a month. So especially, it used to be under, for the record, it used to be under $1,000 a month. Now it went over because everything's going up in price and yada yada. But I am very fortunate. You know, that's not a whole lot of money to have to make a month. Um, and sometimes it doesn't happen. I worked many jobs. I saved enough money to be able to do this for a while, even if I made no money. That was just my planning, right? If you want to plan to leave your job, especially if you don't like your job, that's a whole nother can of worms. If you don't like your job, you know, consider. But uh, you definitely plan. Plan if you do any of this stuff before, you know, you wind up on the streets or something. Plan it all out. Plan all the savings. Plan. Imagine not making anything from your freelance stuff for a year. Can you still survive? Do you have enough money set aside so that you can live and eat and, you know, work for an entire year if you just suddenly did not make any money? If the answer is no, probably, but also probably don't leave your job. I was, again, planned and fortunate. How often do you animate without burnout? I have to be completely transparent with you guys. Not often. And it's not healthy. I recognize it's not healthy. But not often do I animate without burnout. I am currently going through burnout. I've been going through burnout since my birthday in May. And maybe even before then, but that's when I started noticing it, right? I've done nothing about it. So if you guys heard me say I was a healthy animator, yeah, I lied. I lied. This is the honest truth. For those that have stuck around through the whole stream, this is the honest truth. There's a Pokemon on my screen. I'm gonna catch it. I have been going through burnout for a long time. Months. Not years, at least, but it's coming up a year if I don't do something about it. I haven't done anything about it. I've been so busy with deadlines. I've been so busy trying to essentially do everything. On top of the animation stuff, I can explain this one when we get to the next slide. I'm doing a lot of different things. I'm going through burnout. It's not healthy. If you can afford to, you know, I know I'm a hypocrite, but if you can't afford to, please don't. Please don't go through burnout. Please rest. If you start to feel the signs of burnout, please, you know, take a break, take a rest. Especially if your burnout is from just doing so many commissions, try doing your own thing. Do your own personal stuff. Make your own, look, I made art the other day. I made art yesterday, last night, because I was sitting here like, I want to do something else that's not this right now. And you know what I made? I made Christmas Rouge the Bat. Oh gosh, it's so big. I made Rouge the Bat because I wanted to. There you go. Rouge the Bat. Definitely safe for work, and you know. But the big point is, if you're burning out because you're taking on too many commissions, try doing your personal projects. If you're just burning out in general, like no matter what you do, you're burning out, just take a break. Go outside. Go for, oh crap, I was supposed to go for a walk today. It's still bright outside. What time is it? It's like, it's only 2:30? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll probably go outside and go for a walk after the stream, but wow. But yes, if I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys, I have been going through burnout for a long time, and it is not healthy. I recognize it's not healthy, and I know I should do something about it. And don't worry, I will be doing something about it sooner than later, but at the moment, there's not a whole lot I feel like I can do, so, but I would recommend, if you start feeling the signs of burnout, please take a break where you can. I know I'm a hypocrite. Everyone has their flaws. My flaw is being a hypocrite. So now my question to you guys are there any questions? Are there any questions? Now we do have some questions I did not go over that are over on Twitter, so I'm gonna go grab those real quick. We had questions over on Twitter. So they're not on the presentation because I saw them a little too late for the presentation, but I'll still go over them. So the first one, as Manbear has graciously predicted, I should say. Have you ever had to turn down a project you really wanted to be involved in due to prior engagements? Due to prior engagements. I have, here's the question. I have turned down several projects because, sorry, I'm coughing. because I was booked, because I had too much on my plate, and especially in afterwards, like later down the road, I learned, hey, I should not take on every single commission that I ever get, because if I do, I'm in danger. You know what I mean? Just like that one meme. I have had to decline things. And there's one you may or may not know. I don't mind talking about it, but there was one commission that I know a handful of you know that I did that I almost turned down. So, if you didn't know, VSojo had contacted me, and if you're wondering, they contacted me through Twitter DMs. So there's another place. Make sure to have your Twitter DMs open in public if you do commission. But they contacted me, and they had basically asked about doing this commission, but it was a really fast turnaround for 30-second animations. So they were like, can you do this in 2 weeks? And I was like, like, now this is when I was like the first year of animating. So I did not have a whole lot of skills, right? Still learning. I'm still learning, but I was still super learning back then, right? And they had essentially contacted me, and they said, 2 weeks. Now, what you may or may not know is when they contacted me, what was it? Like the next week, I was supposed to go to, or was it 2 weeks? No, they gave me 3 weeks, to be completely transparent. They gave me 3 weeks to do it, but 2 weeks from when they commissioned me and Maestro were supposed to go to Salem, Massachusetts to go do our vacation thing, right? So I had a dilemma, and I went up to my manager. I was like, Lintello, what should I do? My dilemma was, am I going to take this commission, and I have 3 weeks to do it, which I think I could do in 3 weeks at the time. Again, I was still newer to animation. Or am I going to go on this vacation? It was like a one or the other. So if I go on the vacation, I have to decline VSojo. If I take the commission, I have to tell Maestro, hey, honey, we're not going on vacation. After everything we paid for, because we had booked everything. At that point, we had booked like the hotel, we booked all of the tour stuff and all of the things we were going to do. And so what did I do is the real question, right? What did I do instead? What I wound up doing is accepting the commission and saying, hey, I can get this commission done in 2 weeks instead of 3. Does that sound good? And they were like, yeah, sounds great. So I pushed myself to the brink, working really hard every single day, like so hard, just to finish 2 animations in 2 weeks. So that's 1 animation per week. And I'm sitting there like, and on top of that, don't forget, because it's working with a client, you constantly have to send updates and get feedback back. So I can't just sit there and work from start to finish because, then it might be a bit faster, right? No, you have to work on a certain section and send it to them and wait. That's another big thing is, especially with deadlines, is wait for the review and then work on something else in the meantime. And it's like, so I have 2 weeks to get this whole thing done before I go to Salem. And you know what? We did it. You know what? We did it. We were able to finish both animations in 2 weeks, and I got to go to Salem and, have a really nice vacation after working that hard. Totally deserved. And I think that was really cool. I think it was really cool to be able to do. I would not necessarily recommend it, but I'm a really big advocate on working hard. So I don't know, if you ever get that opportunity and you're stuck in that dilemma, I would probably do it again. Or maybe if I do it again, I would at least message them and say, hey, I'm gonna be doing a thing. Instead of saying I can do it in 2 weeks, I'd say, hey, in 2 weeks I have vacation. Can I get it to you in like 3.5 weeks? You know what I mean? I probably should have done that, but no, I didn't do that. I just, because young animator me was like, oh, but I want to work with VSojo. Oh, but I want to go to Salem because I'm a witch. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. So that was that whole dilemma.